I will, hello? I will try and quickly address some of the questions that have been raised that haven't been answered, and then those that we can't, like Mr. President has suggested, we have taken note and we will respond accordingly. As he has said, we are new to we've not really set our feet in the central bank, so we need to collect the data and know exactly. Now, one of them again, I believe was asked by Mr. President himself, and it was a question as to, one, whether I will allow myself to be hijacked by politicians, and two, whether the CBN under my watch will disobey orders to come. Now, number one, with respect to the hijacking by politicians, I said something earlier. Emphasize this. It is important that we who are being considered for these positions today understand that this is a position of trust. It's a position of great trust. And with that goes the huge responsibility to meet up to that trust. And I know that a lot of time and effort was gone into choosing the particular people who are standing here for nomination today. I know that. And as far as I am concerned, under my leadership, I will not be hijacked. The idea is to ensure that we do what is right, when it is right, and how it is right. We've seen what the effects of not doing things right have been, and Mr. President spoke about that earlier today. We've seen that, and we do not intend for that to be repeated. Secondly, on the issue of not obeying CBN's, I beg your pardon, of not obeying the hallowed chambers requests for conversations. Frankly, I have absolutely no doubt that that has got to be part of the engagement that has been spoken about earlier. And apart from that, it is actually in the law. The law specifies that such dialogue should take place twice a year. And as I said, with the resetting of the central bank, ensure that we do not run foul of the law. So I don't want anybody to feel that we would knowingly disobey the law. We would not. In fact, knowingly or unknowingly, we realize that it is our duty to ensure that we obey the law. And it goes back to the issue of culture of compliance. Culture of compliance. We are going to ingrain a culture of compliance within the central bank. There will be zero tolerance for not complying with orders. And I can assure you that that tone will be fully set from the top. That, again, I'll remind you that in my career, in my lifetime, that's all I've been used to. I've been used to doing things properly, and I've been used to obeying rules and regulations as they've been carefully thought out and have been implemented. Another question that came out was the issue of the chairman of the central bank holding both roles of chairman and CEO together, and whether this was the appropriate thing to do or whether it should be reconsidered. Now, my perspective on that, quite frankly, is as follows. Number one, and again, please take it from somebody who has served on boards worldwide, considerable boards over the years, have had a amount of high-level corporate governance experience. I think that a lot depends on the people that are selected to come on boards. Very important. And we will ensure that we get the best people to join us on those boards. This should not be a mere academic exercise. We will look for the best people who can offer the right advice, who have the right qualifications, who can contribute selflessly, and who themselves can say no. So it's not even say no to others. It is everybody on that board being independent-minded enough to say it exactly as it is. That's number one. Number two is that this particular issue that has been raised, I'm aware, is global practice. If you go to the United States and you go to England and many parts of Europe, I don't know the other, but I certainly know in the UK, that is what obtains. And to the best of my knowledge, it works well, largely with the view that it's an attempt to maintain the independence of that particular very important entity. And let's not fool ourselves. The issue here is that we are building an institution. We're building an institution back to what we know it has been. And when we talk about central bank infraction here, corporate governance didn't work, this didn't work, I want to tell you that from my perspective, there are people within the central bank, much as the institution itself may have had its own issues, but there are people who have seen it being what it truly was. There are people there who have served for decades and have seen that institution what it really was at its peak. They will look for those who are good to join that thinking and begin to change the mindset of others who don't really, or who have been used to doing it differently. So it's a crusade, and I'm very certain that we will survive on that crusade and we'll be successful, because the future of Nigeria rests on it. I believe very strongly that some very, very critical decisions have been taken already that is taking Nigeria in the right direction. It is now our own duty to validate on those very, very important initiatives that nobody has been able to do before. Nobody has been able to do before. To the extent we are now on that road, we will not waver and find that we do not accomplish the giant strides that have already been taken. Then, of course, an issue that came up severally was the issue of bank charges. And I agree, it's something that we will certainly look into. I mean, we've all had one way or the other been part of the receiving end of that. Then, the issue of ankle borrower, how do you track them down? Again, you know, we need to really look at those numbers and understand what the composition really is, okay, before we can take any action on that. The questions that have been asked are very good, very helpful, and to be frank, much as this hallowed chamber, distinguished members of this chamber may feel come to interrogate us and all that, I want to tell you that we have also benefited tremendously from hearing the quality of and being ready to go back to ensure that we can put them into use where we need to and revert where we don't have the answers. I will just conclude by saying that, by thanking the members of these hallowed chambers. It's been a very, very useful encounter. And I believe very strongly that in the process of resetting and rethinking, reshaping a central bank, the confidence building. Transparency and accountability comes under that. To be able to build that confidence that many people here spoke about. When you spoke about the fact that Naira was going down, you're concerned about the value of the Naira, and I tried to explain that. And once we can build confidence back through good corporate governance, culture of compliance, I'm certain that we are headed in the right direction, and the pains that many Nigerians have felt over the years in due course will be something of the past. Thank you very much.
Let me, on behalf of the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, thank the nominees for exhaustively answering most of our questions. and to urge them that the ones you could not proceed answers immediately, as you get into office, you try to get something back to us, because it's a learning curve, and we are very interested in getting the situation out of the doldrum. So thank you so much. You may now step forward and take leave of the Senate, one after the other. Distinguished colleagues, having concluded the screening exercise, I want to put the question. The Senate nomination of Mr. Yemi Cardoso for appointment as Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Those and those against say nay. The ayes have it.